watercolor. So, iniwan ko muna sila doon. Sabi ko,
Sila mo
pupuntahan
kayo
lang ako
nag-still
dito.
life mo?
Sila yun.
Yes.
Saka
Okay na.
5 to 1.
Rolling na.
Start na. Okay na.
Saan si subject? Ayan.
May tanong pala ako, although nagro-rolling na.
Okay.
Hindi ko ba mag-answer in English or
Hindi naman.
hindi naman? Kahit
Kahit
basta
ano.
answer.
So, good day po, ma'am. Thank you so much for agreeing to this interview. This will be part of our docu-project for Readings in Philippine History course.
For this project po, we're doing an oral history interview, meaning po, we're learning from a real professional and their personal experiences, not just from books, but first-hand.
Okay.
So, through this interview po, ma'am, we aim to show how architectural laws affected real projects and real people and how these laws help shape architectural practice in the Philippines over time based on the first-hand experiences of someone who witnessed and worked through these changes.
So today po, we're very honored to interview architect Micaela Sigilano to hear her stories and insights as an architect, especially about how architectural laws shape design practice in the Philippines.
Thank you for having me.
Yay!
So, ma'am, to start po, this part po is getting to know you naman po. So, for your professional background, how you entered architecture, and what practice was like when you were starting out. So, could you tell us about yourself and how you became an architect?
Okay, so, hi again. So, I'm architect Ella, so as you may all know. So, kumbaga, going back, so I graduated 2014, yan. So, for my undergrad, I finished from De La Salle University, Tasmaninas. So, from the academic part of doing and pursuing architecture, so it was something na I feel like gusto ko talaga siyang gawin. Starting nung high school, I think parang doon ko siya unang na-encounter na there's this type of profession na pwede kong i-pursue. And then tuloy-tuloy na yun. So, as you all know, so after you graduate, diba, you have like an apprenticeship for 2 years. And then, after that, 2016, nag-review na rin ako and nag-take na ako ng June na board exam. Yan, so, thankfully naman, pumasa. And then, from there, started working. Kumbaga, I returned back dun sa work ko previously kasi nung nag-review ako, I was privileged enough to allow a leave of absence. Tapos, bumalik ako dun sa work ko. For a background lang naman. So, my work back then was more on building information modeling, yung application ng usage of Revit to design, to architectural, more on modeling, but overseas project, overseas mother company, and then meron kaming local office dito. So, from that part, I would say the local application of my practice were more on personal projects rather than the work itself kasi the standards were different. After that, I shifted to pursuing the academe, side by side, working on a local parang design and construction firm. I would say doon, mas na-apply ko yung, of course, yung what our topic is, which is about mga building laws, more on client interaction. Talagang out there with the meetings, with the site and everything. Parang mas doon ko siya na-apply. Although the previous work was a very good parang starting off with the building a team, working with others, parang ganyan. It helped me din naman. Pero with the context of the local application on that I apply as an architect, mas nagawa ko siya through personal projects and again, being employed in a local design and construction firm.
Yes, thank you, ma'am. For our next question po, gaano po kayo katagal nagpa-practice and anong klaseng projects po ang madalas ninyong ginagawa aside from as full-time professor?
Okay. So, I started having, kumbaga, projects, syempre after the license, which was 2016. So, starting off with personal projects, small lang, syempre. You don't really have that much confidence pa. Although, I feel like that's a personal thing. Kasi yung iba, feeling ko once you get that license, medyo may hunger for getting projects and such. For my case, I try to take it step by step kasi parang feeling ko kulang pa ako sa experience. And then, as I went along, I mostly do residential projects. So, it's a variation of new, merong renovation, merong interior lang, and then some commercial. So, merong sa personal, and then most of the commercial experiences I did for, dun sa employment ko na, kumbaga. Hindi na siya private practice. So, commercial and some corporate, mga office, fit out, interior lang, not the whole scale na malaking project. And then some mga light scale na mga, anong tawag doon, light industrial, mga parang offices ng sortation center, mga ganyan. And then some, ano pa ba, ano lang yun, very light lang. I don't really have the opportunity pa to venture into like big complexes. Pero what I like about it is that aside from the architectural part, syempre yun naman yung nature ng work natin. Because it's a local and not that big of a company, I was able to practice then and get to know other trade. Kumbaga, medyo mas natuto ako like on the structural part, on the mechanical part, medyo mas na-visualize ko siya, na-apply ko rin siya sa design.
Thank you po.
Next part naman po ng question is about architectural practice through time. This is about change, how architectural practice and building regulations evolve based on your experiences po. So yung tanong po is, ano po yung biggest changes na napansin ninyo sa architectural practice from before until now po?
Okay, so from the practice of architecture itself, I would say there are good and di naman bad changes, pero merong mga certain progressions over time. Like, let's say, client awareness. So nowadays, a good thing na yung clients natin, they're not really all that blinded na sa awareness sa laws, compliance, and such. So, me as an architect, some clients that I encounter, hindi na ako nahihirapan na i-explain sa kanila. Compared to, like when I was starting out, parang ang dami mo need i-explain, ilatag. Nowadays, maybe also because of social media, maraming clients yung mas aware, not just on the process of the design itself, but even the way that they embrace your design, yung may mga inputs din sila, ganyan. And yun yung tinatry natin i-weigh. Parang yun nga. For me, personally, it's both good and hindi bad, pero there's a certain level of balance that you need to achieve. Kasi sometimes the clients are more on, parang they insist on ano yung nakita nila. So they insist that on what you can apply dun sa design, kahit not really all the time it's applicable. For the process naman of like the whole legalities of like the building laws and such, I would say na from before up to now, yun, parang mas structured. I would say yung delegation of like the scope, anong ginagawa ng architect, anong ginagawa ng ganitong specific ng engineer. And on the practice of architecture profession, so ang naging magandang change na I have observed, kasi before, kung aware kayo, di ba, we have the building permit. Ngayon, meron na tayong slowly, may mga municipalities and cities na tayo na aside from the building permit, like structural permit, may separate ng architectural permit, which parang mas na bibigyan natin ng stamp and emphasis na you need to hire an architect para dun sa overall design and construction. Yeah.
Big change na po
Yes,
talaga.
definitely. Big change for us.
So, follow-up question po dun is, have you noticed changes in how street laws like National Building Code and Fire Code of the Philippines are enforced over time?
Yes, I would say definitely. Kasi, like yun, let's go back to the permit part. Before, I see some practices na hindi natin sinasabing sinasadya nila. Maybe it's because of lack of knowledge na the building permit, kahit architectural drawings, hindi architect yung pumipirma. And certain localities allow that. Kumbaga, they accept it, then binibigyan nila ng permit. But nowadays, again, maybe because also of the parang presence of like professional organizations, let's say sa mga architect, nagkakaroon tayo ng boses on how we can express our profession on the legal side, kumbaga. So I think yun yung parang isang magandang application of the building laws itself. And then, on let's say building code, fire code, so hand in hand because there's a delineation of trade and scope, mas nati-check din. I feel like mas nati-check ng totoo. Hindi siya parang on paper lang na, okay, ito na yung drawing. Kumbaga, we see a lot of cities or let's say private, anong tawag doon, yung nag-e-evaluate na totoo yung ginagawa nilang evaluation, which is good kasi our concepts, our design solutions are not put to waste kasi ina-evaluate nila ng tama.
Thank you po.
And parang mas naano rin po natin yung mga natutunan natin sa sa school.
Yes, kumbaga parang for you guys na students, some of the parang lesson siguro parang you will not appreciate it yet. Pero pag na-experience yun na siya first hand, dun yung ma-appreciate na, nangyayari pala talaga to, okay, ganito pala talaga yung process.
Yes, thank you po, ma'am. And yun nga po. Next po, we would like to hear your personal experiences po naman sa mga projects where building laws played big role in design process. So, aside po dun sa kanina, may share po ba kayong project where building laws really influence how you design the space?
Okay, so I think one interesting project that I can share was a certain commercial parang fit out na ginawa namin sa QC. So, hindi ko na disclose yung company. So, it was a good opportunity for us kasi on the design aspect, it was parang trying to exert effort to release your creative juices. Kasi parang marketing company siya. So, nandun yung outlet mo for creativity. On the legality side, on the building laws part, so, since it's an interior parang fit out, parang di naman siya total renovation, pero we added certain parang rooms, may mga let's say clinic, ganyan. So, you try to balance out knowing the laws pagdating sa ano yung requirement ng isang opisina. So, you try to balance ano yung need niya sa space to comply with fire code, with DP 344, building code, and then alongside that, on top of that, you have to balance out DOLE standards. So, kunyari, anong size ng spacing ng tables, ilaw, gano'ng kaliwanag, where do you put the lactation room, mga ganyan, DOLE. On top of that, nagkataon, we did the project post-pandemic. So, we also had to adhere standards, the DOH. So, we had to plan out yung social distancing, and then you have to have foresight na hanggang kailan tong pandemic. So, you need to plan out. Kunyari, we suggested quarters for like kunyari may mga malalayo, they want to sleep over kung night shift sila, mga ganyan. So, sobrang dami mong ipagsasama-sama na considerations, not just the building laws itself, pero yun nga, sobrang iba-ibang standards, ordinances, and such. So, I think yun yung pinaka-interesting na masishare ko na project na na-encounter ko kasi parang hindi ka naman nalilimit, pero ang dami mong i-need i-balance ng mga rules and laws, parang gano'n. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Well, nangyayari talaga to share with you, parang we did the initial walkthrough pre-pandemic. Tapos, we already did initial design. Tapos, nag-lockdown, so the project stopped. And then, when we resumed the project, totally different considerations na naman. So, parang, oo, parang nadagdagan siya. Pero, interesting naman. So, marami rin naman akong natutunan doon.
So, since how do building laws like code on sanitation po, and sobrang ano rin po siya dun sa part ng yung post-pandemic, help make buildings more comfortable and healthy for users.
Okay, so the sanitation itself, syempre, it's a parang basic right that we need to give dun sa mga end users natin. Whether it's as simple as giving them access to water, yung lababo, or let's say having a toilet, very important yun. Sa residential aspect, I would say dun mo siya talaga mararamdaman. So siguro one topic that I can share with you na ma-encounter nyo probably is, let's say, you'll be faced with different setting or locations ng mga nagpapadesign sa inyo ng bahay na certain circumstances with limitations to sewer. Let's say, may mga access na may sewer line. So, you design where's the septic tank and then doon mo siya ipapatapon. Then, meron kayong ma-encounter, let's say for us, may na-encounter kami na certain subdivision developments na ano lang sila, yung septic tank nila is parang drum, parang ganun yung style niya. It's not something that we design, nandun na talaga siya sa development. So, the capacity of that, you try to balance it with the ratio of, let's say, ilang banyo para yung computation ng discharge ng tubig, hindi niya ma-overflow yung size na yun. Kasi you're already limited to that. Hindi mo na siya pwedeng lakihan kasi yun na siya. So, yung mga ganyan. So, sanitation is very important, residential. On the commercial, siguro what I can share, simple lang naman. So, I was able to design like a space for a milk tea shop. Very small space. Pero we still had to make it work na may toilet for the staff, syempre. Hindi lang sa hugasan, pero where they can have the restroom. So, since the space is quite limited, talagang we really had to plan out the compact na space. So, again, giving importance na importante talaga na kinoconsider natin yung sanitation.
And may moment po ba na akala nyo limiting or hindrance talaga yung law sa pagde-design po?
Okay. Yes, maraming ganong instances technically, especially if the client is parang doesn't really fully understand it and demanding you to parang to design more space kahit di naman na talaga pwede kasi you have to adhere to certain laws. So, most especially for residential, I think yun yung marami kaming, ako personally, na-encounter. I wouldn't say makulit yung client, pero you really have to explain na hindi po talaga pwede. So parang there's this certain instances na feeling mo naiinis na sila sa'yo kasi you're so insistent on adhering to the law. Tapos, babanatan ka nila na, may kakilala kami dyan, ano na lang natin, kausapin na lang natin. Yeah, mga ganun. Pero, you still have to stick to your ethics. Kumbaga, I think that's also very important. So, yun yung parang on the ethics part. Limiting siya. On the design, so like what I shared with you earlier, so the laws are very restricted in such a way na ang dami mong ipabalance. Pero, at the end of the day, you really have no choice. Kasi kung ipipilit mo yung gusto mo lang, then you submit that drawing, chances are hindi rin naman ma-approve. So, might as well adhere to the law, di ba? Para design mo. True, di ba?
Busy talaga. Okay po. So, bali, ang next segment naman po is about the people, culture, and accessibility po. It is about how laws influence the way architects design spaces for different users, especially po in public buildings. So when BP 344 or the accessibility law became more emphasized, paano po nito binago yung way ng pag-design ng public spaces?
Okay, so this one, I would say na, especially for public spaces, this is what I try to teach din. Kasi I teach Prof. Prac so may building laws doon. So what I always tell students, and what we always try to apply is, remember that BP 344 is a standard. It's not something na ipagmamalaki mo na, ay, nag-adhere ako sa BP 344. No, kasi basic na yun eh. Kumbaga parang, it's not an add-on na binibigay natin sa quality ng design natin. It should be innate na pinapractice natin siya. So regarding naman to the application for like public spaces, public buildings, syempre nagiging mas inclusive yung mga spaces natin. So let's say as simple as having ramps. So yung mga nahihirapan maglakad or even yung mga people on wheelchair, they equally enjoy yung mga spaces that are accessible to them. So yeah, I think on the public spaces aspect, nagiging mas accessible siya. Siguro dagdag ko na lang for the residential kasi sometimes yun yung parang medyo afterthought natin. So, simple lang, lalagay ka ng gradual change in elevation or grab bar sa banyo, sizes ng hallway, sizes ng pintuan. Those are small things na konting adjustment lang. Pero it would really have an impact dun sa users mo. Even the way you arrange the spaces. Kasi I had a chance to design a house. Tapos, family sila, simple lang. Pero, just so happened na due to certain circumstances, may mga PWD sa bahay nila. So, I was parang hindi naman shock, pero nagulat ako na may ganong pala akong na-encounter na hindi lang siya old age like may bulag sa family nila, may hearing impairment, may special needs, just in one family. So you really have to take into consideration na open ka sa design, how you would implement, even your selection of materials, magiging careful ka, magiging sensitive ka. Pero, parang siguro lucky enough lang ako nun kasi yung parang homeowner, like yung parents themselves, were very parang knowledgeable and they have really good inputs sa design which has helped me kahit na sabihin natin na bahay lang siya. So yeah, so I think BP 344 is really something na you guys should consider as early on kahit nag-aaral pa lang.
Thank you po doon. Very insightful talaga siya.
Kala ko parang sa mga public spaces lang din talaga siya nagagamit.
Well, actually, kasi parang there's this notion na sa bahay, it's already enough na, yung banyo mo may grab bar and such. Pero, sometimes it goes beyond that. Although, tama naman na syempre sa public spaces, mas ramdam talaga natin, di ba, na dapat meron talagang considerations for people with disabilities. Though, honestly, it took a while for us to really understand that. Kaya yung ibang establishments, parang hinahabol lang siya. Kasi, let's say, gawa ng structure before they realize it. So, they try their best naman, I would say, to add that.
Sana ma-adopt na po yan ng marami pang
Yes.
And ito po, sa tingin niyo po, paano nakakontribute ang accessibility laws sa mas inclusive spaces sa Pilipinas?
Okay, so sa atin, so I would say, let's say, outdoor spaces parang given na yun, na parang they're more like sidewalks, medyo mas conscious na yung mga developers natin, especially for new like townships and such, mas nabibigyan na ng emphasis. So, kumbaga, on the community planning wise, I would say, maganda naman yung tinatahak nating landas when it comes to application of BP 344. I also see a lot of public spaces like terminals na gumagamit sila nung, I forgot the term, yung curb, and then yung flooring na, yung pang may
Braille.
yung may mga braille, diba? So, those are small steps na even elevator, di ba, yung mga buttons. So, small step siya, pero towards a more inclusive space. Kasi, what we also try to accept is that sometimes the BP344 is not just for ano lang siya, hindi lang siya for wheelchair users. Meron tayong mga independent na mga nagkataon lang na they have certain impairments pero physically, mentally, independent sila. So, we just have to give them the opportunity to go about their everyday lives na hindi nila ma-feel that they're less of a person because of those certain impairments. And I'm happy naman na so far, yung mga nakikita nating newer developments are conscious of that.
So, for this interview naman, it's about ethics naman po in the profession. So, how about the responsibility of laws affect the role of an architect? Their accountability to clients and the public. So, meron po tayo na Republic Act number 9266 where it governs the practice of architecture. So, paano po ito na-define yung role nyo and ini-impose po nito yung obligations nyo as an architect?
Okay, so the RA 9266, so it's helpful in such a way for us to delineate our scope. Kumbaga, marirealize natin na ang dami nating pwedeng gawin, ang dami nating pwedeng i-venture na different fields within architecture. We're not just, ano tawag doon, we're not just, kumbaga, hindi tayo nakukulong sa design lang. So, hopefully, when you try to learn that particular law, pag may prof na kayo, it will open your eyes to the variety of scope of work that we can offer. On the aspect of our responsibilities as an architect, so RA 9266, parang it's there to sort of parang humble us na ang lisensya natin ay privilege, hindi natin siya right. Kumbaga, once you earn it, kailangan mo maging responsible enough kasi anytime that you do something, it can be revoked, diba? So, nandun lagi yung humility sa profession aside from being, kumbaga, upholding its value. With regards to the responsibility, so, RA 9266, I feel like parang guiding natin siya, parang guiding mantra natin na it strengthens us in such a way na ito yung mga kaya natin gawin, ito yung mga opportunities natin, which is very good for us. Kasi kahit ako dati parang when I entered studying architecture, parang I always thought na I need to design something, I need to be like an architect na makakapag-build, ganyan. Tapos habang as I go along, especially in the career, let's say, punyong na, tuturo ako, mga ganyan. So, pero it's part of that, di ba? It's part of that certain scope. So, it expands your horizon, I would say, as an architect.
Yes. And para po pala siyang, ano tawag doon, paradox, na paulit-ulit, pero doon pa rin yung, yung license.
Yes.